What happens at the Hollywood show stays at the Hollywood show.
Hey, get in here. Dallas is about to start.
Welcome to the Ewing Barbecue and a special DOA episode where we're talking about the Hollywood show with the Dallas reunion. My name is Mary.
I'm Josh.
I'm Melanie, and I'm enjoying a Lotus Biscoff cookie like you get on the plane.
Nice. And we have some special guests.
We do.
Hi, Brad Mulholland here. It's a pleasure to join you guys and had a blast with you guys out in California. And thank
Brad,
you for including
me.
me.
You should be a DJ with that voice. You should be a DJ.
Just spin those records.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Magic 94.9. Let's get the lead out.
I'm Amy Hara, and I was in Burbank as well. Had an awesome time. It was great to meet everybody.
It was so fun.
That was a trip, I tell you. How long had we been anticipating this trip and just talking about it back and forth? And Amy with the text messages and everything. And this.
I kind of feel like it was a whirlwind. I feel like it just kind of like it happened and then I was like, okay, I guess we're going.
What? No, I think your Facebook post hit it spot on. Like, none of us could afford it, but we all said, fuck it, you know?
Right. We're like,
yes.
That's kind of where I was at. I was like, because I don't know how long it had been planned or in the works or whatever, but I was like, oh, that'd be fun. And then it was like, oh, maybe I could do that. And then it was like, I don't know. And I didn't know if it was going to be, everything it was cracked up to be. And then it was like, finally, I made the decision the weekend before. I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to do this. And the Monday before, I bought everything, tickets, hotel, and it was moderately expensive, I guess, but it wasn't completely out of the rain. And I spent more money than I could have. I could have done a lot less, but there were so many people to get pictures with. So I didn't know a week ahead of time that I was really going to be there. But if it happens again, anything like that, I absolutely recommend. If you can get there, do it, because it was fantastic. Like I said, I didn't come down for like 6 days.
You're still coming down. I'm still coming down from us getting applauded and cheered when we went in for our cast photo. That was like, what the hell?
That was insane.
That must have been insane.
We walked in to get our picture, and they're like, "It's the podcast," and they started clapping, and I, like, what's happening? My mind just exploded.
And then I was talking to Deborah Nard after, and she said, "No, with all you guys have done, it's you're honorary cast members at this point."
That's impressive.
In what world do we go to a bar with Josh Henderson and Mario and Charlie and Tilton?
That was a trip, and that might have been. That might have even been better than the show itself. Yeah.
That's the highlight.
Oh, yeah. Oh, for sure.
The evenings afterwards, I mean, we had a blast.
Yeah. So, Brad and Amy, I don't remember if we told you this that same day, but I had no idea that we were applauded and cheered. Like, I think I had tunnel vision. Because they said something afterwards. They were like, you didn't hear that? I was like, no.
You didn't hear that?
I didn't.
It was kind of trippy because when you went behind the curtain, you were standing there and you could see them taking the people's picture in front of you, right? Mm-hmm. So I saw a couple of people getting their pictures taken before I got in there. So you're still just kind of taking it all in, like all of these people, like 30 of them just like sitting there, and it's like legends. Wow, right? And so then when I walked up, like I have a very vague memory of walking up and getting in between Janelle Harrison, and I forget who's on my left. But as I was walking by, Steve Canale says, "Are you the last one?" I said, "I'm sorry, I'm not." And that's the only thing I remember about that picture. And then I walked out. Actually, no, Joshua Harris, as I was walking out, he's like, "I like your hat." I'm like, "Thanks." That's it. That's all I remember about taking that picture.
I do remember walking out and hearing like whispering, like, "They have a podcast? There's a podcast? What podcast?" That part I do remember hearing.
2 weeks later, I was at 90s Con, and some of the people that were in Burbank showed up at 90s Con, and I was still handing out our business cards at 90s Con. Now, Patrick's story was interesting. His birthday was St. Patrick's Day, obviously, which was Sunday. He was due in Friday, and there was a massive snowstorm in Colorado, and he did not make it there until Saturday at 5:30, and the convention was closing at 6. So he graciously did all his group photo ops, and he stayed until 7:30 for everybody in line. I was working photo ops, and I moved over to figuring his line was going to be out of control, so I moved over to help do damage control over there. And we had everybody sing happy birthday when he came in. And then I guess the next day they sang happy birthday in his line again. And then at the panel, which I've posted, they brought him out a cake. And then Step by Step Cast took him out to the Capitol Grill for dinner that night. So he got feted quite nicely that weekend. So back to Burbank.
You mentioned the attaching the business card, and I just want to say, Josh, like you do so much as far as plugging, doing the legwork on the show, and promoting the show on social media and little things like that, like sticking your business card on. I mean, that's just props to you for that, for
good
really
marketing,
spreading this thing. And Mary, obviously, you do your stuff, and Melanie, you do stuff. I mean, Mary does. I have no idea what it takes
I
to
really
do all
do
the
nothing.
editing. I got a little bit. from you, Mary, about how much it
It's
takes to
these
do all
two.
the editing and everything, and that sounds like way more work than I would be willing to put in. So props to you for that.
It was more than I planned or bargained
Right.
for when I started doing this, but it's good. I'm glad to do it.
Well, the show you originally was like 30 minutes, right? The show was like 30,
I think our
maybe
first
40 minutes.
episode was like 18 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, it used to be like really quick, and then we just started yakking away.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just trying, I know, because I came over from Ultimate Dallas when we started the podcast, and I had Melanie, you obviously were doing some of the interviews with me with Ultimate Dallas at certain points, and
I transcribed, and he let me.
hell of a transcriber.
He let me take the wheel on an interview with Linda Gray when she published her book. So that was really cool. I loved it, and I wanted to make it very much like just a girls' chat instead of the standard interview. Like Josh he's taught me a long time ago that different formats of media, like interviews, have a very standard format, and what I wanted to do was slightly different, but it goes back to, you guys know all the stories. You've seen all the interviews, I'm sure, with Linda being asked over and over the same questions,
Right.
and then her expressing her frustration with it. I was like, I don't want to do that. I want to ask her about her and her book and like what inspired her and, what brings her joy and all that stuff. Not like, tell me about your beauty secrets. Like, come on.
Exactly.
Anybody who pays her enough for a sponsorship, that's who.
still one of those where you kind of have to know what you want to talk about, because you don't want to get starstruck in a conversation like that, where you want to kind of
Exactly.
know what you're going to talk about, so you don't end up just going off on a tangent about your experiences of watching Dallas when you were 4 years old. And
Right.
Right. And I
that's
think
where
it came together really well because she talked a
Definitely.
lot about, I don't know, just basically the same stuff over like that she talked about in the book and where she got the ideas. Gosh, I'll have to go listen to it again. It's been like 9 years.
And that's where kind of what prompted me to start doing the after the barbecue ones with different cast members, like bring in Omri Katz, and we talked for the cannabis industry about an hour.
By the way, thank you, Omri.
Yeah. How did that turn out for you? He gave us some samples.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Let's
I'm sorry.
talk.
I missed out on that.
let's talk, brother.
somebody went to bed early Saturday night.
I did. What time did you Yahoos get back to the room that Saturday night? When did you leave the bar?
It was about
I didn't
2
even hear
o'clock.
you
I went
guys
to
came
bed.
in. I opened my eyes and the three of you were in bed and it was dark.
It was,
I was like-
late. It was very late. I want to
It was
say
like,
it was
oh, they're here.
3
Well
or
past.
4.
It was about past 2
I
o'clock.
think it was pushing 2 o'clock.
Wow. Okay.
Okay. I thought
They
it was
closed
later than
downstairs
that.
at 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
I thought you meant what time did we come back from the other bar? I'm like, you were with
No,
us.
like what time
Connie.
did we end up upstairs?
You took a video.
Oh my God. I did find some good clips that don't really like have me singing loud and off key. Those ones will never make it on the internet, but you guys doing like the air drums and stuff. Yeah, like
That was a top 3 moment of the weekend.
Oh my God.
That was fun.
The Uber back
Sarah
from
conducting from the
And what I found great was being in the hotel, and I know I went down and David Goodspeed, Cattlemen's Club, who I think we're going to have on at some point in the future for just to talk about his collection, his massive, immense collection of what he has acquired over the years for Dallas memorabilia. I was in the lobby with him and look over and there's Cherie Wilson checking into the hotel. So I went over and just, we gave each other a hug and just kind of caught up for a minute. And then next time I came downstairs and Josh Henderson's checking into the hotel and we're like, bro, we haven't seen each other in 10 years. And it was like, we're just like everything. And he and his girlfriend, Alex, was two of the nicest people I've
very nice.
They're pretty cool.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I will say everybody that I talked to was very approachable. But yeah, Josh, like we probably spent more time with him than most everybody else. And yeah,
he's very down to earth.
Absolutely.
Yep,
and he's all like, 100%.
And I told him he was gracious
and,
for like hanging out and spending time with fans. And he was like, and I was just like, dude, humility, man, this is important.
Even my husband, who has nothing, doesn't know anything about Dallas at all, was super impressed with him. And still talks about him. It's like, yeah. Who's that kid? Josh, the guy at the bar, the guy that we had drinks with. I love him.
Yeah.
And then that night, before we went over, Kathy Potwell was hanging out at the bar with Charlie Murphy, Alan Catton, and some other people.
That's right.
As well, and Deb and Danon came over to the other restaurant, and they're just hanging out. And of course, we all started. Melanie, Mary, Sarah, and I started with that dinner with Sue Cabral and Carrie and
that
Sharon
was the beginning
Sachs,
of me
Scooter.
being like, "What is going on?" Like sitting next to Charlene Tilton, and then like they're all catching up, telling stories from set, and I'm just like.
Danon asked what I did on Dallas, and I was like, "Oh no!"
You're like, "Oh,
nothing."
You were her stunt double.
Yeah, and I was like, "I was born in 1986."
No, you were actually Deb Bernard's double because somebody thought you were Deb Bernard when they were talking to you at the table.
That you know what? There was more than one person.
I didn't hear this story, so
There was more than one person that thought I was Deb Bernard, and I was like, okay.
Well, the picture's hanging on the wall behind you, and if she wasn't right there, I mean, it made sense.
I mean,
how lucky were you guys? Like Josh, you worked Patrick's table on.
I worked Patrick's
on
table.
Friday,
He
and
slipped me
Mary and
$100 tip the next day,
and Sarah was working the table with Al. I mean, that was amazing.
No, it was crazy, and it was not because we actually just got to spend time. Like regular time with them, and they're just so nice.
Don't want to go into anything at the moment, but that may be the beginning of some more Dallas mini convention going experiences.
It wouldn't surprise me because it was so successful. I have friends who go to the Hollywood show every year. And when they came this year, they were like, this is the most people I've ever seen here.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So it was wildly successful.
And I mean, Melanie, you and I were in the restaurant getting breakfast that Sunday morning, and Linda Gray is at another table over, but yet this guy from France comes over to our table and recognizes us from the podcast. And starts,
the French guy? Yeah.
The French guy, yeah.
The French guy.
I felt bad because I was in my own little world. I don't even know what I was doing. I think I had taken a gummies. But I was like, I need to eat. And I don't know.
But I talked to him for a good 5 minutes.
Apparently, my ancestry DNA test came back and said that, according to my DNA, I have the tendency to be hangry. Like, literally. Like, yeah. So...
That's funny. Which one did you take?
Ancestry DNA.
Ancestry? Okay.
Yeah,
I took both of them.
The 23andMe too? Okay. That's a thought.
I think they're good for different things. The Ancestry one is better for finding like family members or whatever, your family tree. Mm-hmm. And 23andMe is better if you want like medical stuff or that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I feel like I've had 4 or 5 different DNA tests done for just different things.
So
Anyways.
Amy, you came out from obviously Haverhill. You're in the Boston area, so you came out
Right.
with your husband.
Haverhill.
Haverhill is the outside.
Haverhill.
You came with your husband and
Haverhill.
Doe.
Right.
So talk about just that whole. How did Doe enjoy the trip?
She did. Well,
I saw
was
you at
not with
different
us.
points because it was obviously crazy.
Right.
She wasn't.
Yeah, Doe wasn't with us the whole time. She was there for Saturday and Sunday, or Saturday, but she was with a friend. So it was just from Wednesday to Saturday morning, it was just my husband and I. So, again, he's not a watcher of the show.
And we had dinner at Denny's. Yeah, with
That's right.
Right.
Yeah, with the robotic delivery.
with the robot. If you ever get into Denny's, of course, somebody, we're not going to say who it was, Saturday had a little bit much drink, and the next day they were taken to Denny's to get the Moon Over Miami special.
I actually asked that question too. Josh said something about Denny's as we were walking into the restaurant, and I was like, "For some moons over my hammy."
Yes, and I
We had the same
believe
discussion
that
prior to that.
Yes.
I believe that individual was taken there by their friend and got the Moon Over Miami to take care of the situation. Hey,
Is that the person that accused me of getting them drunk?
Yes.
Okay.
yes.
Yes.
And
Yes, it is.
Going back to that dinner, though, that was just the stories they had to tell, and I think we're going to invite them onto the podcast at some point.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah, because we talked to Sue Cabral and Carrie.
So he has three names.
Yeah.
The friend request
So
on Facebook.
Sue Cabral was one of the head makeup people, and then Carrie did props.
And then there was Sharon Sachs was the on-set tutor.
Yes. And they were just awesome.
There was a production assistant there. I think his name was Brandon something, but I have to look him up. He had the glasses. He was sitting at the other end of the table.
Okay.
But yeah, Sharon Sachs had some interesting things to say about Brad Pitt when I asked about what he was like on set, because she said it was his first job in the industry at all, and he was wet behind the ears.
Yeah.
Which is also interesting because this past weekend, I was talking with Christine Taylor from Hey Dude and Marcia from the Brady Bunch movies.
Mm-hmm. Ben Stiller's wife.
Right, Ben Stiller's wife. And someone else actually showed up with a Dallas book to have her sign.
Really? Nice.
And I showed up with the album cover. And I am going to compile a list of all the signatures on that at some point. But she said, oh my God, this was the first job that she had after Hey Dude. And it was one episode. So she remembered the episode, and she remembered being Cliff Barnes' daughter.
Oh, sure.
All that stuff. And it wasn't a long role either. It was very, very short for her segment. But it was good that she remembered it.
I was blanking for a second of what she did, but you're right. That's the finale conundrum.
Conundrum.
So, did I tell you guys about the two women named Joan that I stumbled across in the bathroom on Saturday? So the first time I go to the bathroom, I come out of the stall, and I go to wash my hands, and there's this blonde lady standing off to my right, and I just kind of make eye contact with her in the mirror. And it's Joan Van Ark.
The same woman that I had to redirect trying to go into the men's bathroom a few minutes earlier, right?
I think so, yeah. And and I just was like, okay, Joan Van Ark, and I just I smiled, washed my hands, and then my next bathroom trip, I came out of the stall. I go to walk up to the sink again, and there's like a PA or, somebody standing off to the side talking to this brunette who's standing where Joan Van Ark was, and it's Joan fucking Collins.
Wow. That's crazy.
And I was like, okay, apparently this bathroom is the place to meet ladies named Joan. All right.
It was
I don't know.
did Joan Osborne turn up?
She did not.
Did the ghost of Joan Crawford come out of the stall too?
God, you would have heard me scream all the way down in the.
I told you guys I had a slightly more terrifying experience with the restroom and Joan Van Ark. Right after the Dallas panel, I ran across the way, right, to that one holer that was just inside the hotel doors there by the elevators on the other side, right? So where you guys were staying. And so anyway, I go to the
There was
door. I
another
know it's
bathroom over there.
yeah, there was a bathroom right there. So anyway, I went in there. I went there and I tried the door. I know it's a one holer, so I tried the door. It's locked. Okay, so I back off like 15 feet, right, and wait. Like 20 seconds later, Joan Van Ark comes walking out of the bathroom. And she looks at me and she's like, "Were you pounding on the door?" And I'm like, "No, I was not pounding on the door. Like, I would never do that. I just tried the knob to see if it was unlocked and I backed off." And she's like, "Okay." And she walked away. And I'm like, forever and ever, she's going to think I was pounding on the bathroom door. And that's great. And this was after she was so, this was after I talked with her. This is after I talked with her. I got in pictures with her and she was so sweet. She wrote on my picture that she saw on the, professional picture that she signed for me. She wrote on there, "Brad, you should be an actor." And I was like, "Oh, that was sweet." But now she's only going to remember that, I'm sure.
Well, it's
doesn't
kind of good it
remember
wasn't
any
the
of that,
other
but-
way around, because she would have been like, "Thanks for knocking on the door while I was going to the bathroom."
Oh, that's true. Yes.
But she was super sweet. I mean, everybody was sweet. We'll get it.
Oh yeah. So Mary and I, at one point we were cleaning up. I think it was on Saturday, and the Debs and Danon had gone to sign something. I can't remember exactly what they were doing, but we were kind of like behind, kind of wrapping up their stuff. And earlier in the day, Jack Scalia had like walked past me and just like looked at me and flashed me this big old smile, and I was like, you know. And so Mary and I are kind of standing there alone. And what did I say? I said something to you, and then you said something to me, and then I said something back.
Yeah, I don't even remember.
We were basically talking about how this man in his 70s is like fire.
Oh yeah. We were like, because I really think that he's more attractive now than when he was on the show.
Yes.
And didn't you say he came over and said people did a wonderful job or something like that? One of you said that.
I was getting to that.
Oh,
Yes.
I'm sorry. Hey, it's story.
He wants to tell your story.
Rewind.
Yeah, but basically that's it. Like we had, one of us, I think it was me, had no sooner gotten that like, suggestive comment out of my mouth than he appeared behind Mary. And came up and was like, "Hey girls, like, hey ladies, just, we wanted to say, everybody that here this weekend was great. Nobody complained. Everybody was professional. Just like come back anytime." And we were like, okay.
Okay.
We kept running into each other on that hallway, and if for anyone that wasn't there, if right at the beginning of the Dallas section, there was the South Fork Arch.
So cool.
James Yarnell had done that from who did
the decorations were off the hook.
The mantle was amazing too.
The mantle.
bar.
Yeah, at the very end, they recreated the South Fork the living room with the Jock poster and the
Photo should have been done. They should have had that made bigger.
Yeah, no, I know.
And as the weekend went on, I was trying to get as many different cast member photo reunion combinations as I could, as I was like wiggling around like a decapitated chicken all weekend. And there were a couple that I missed because after the cast photo op, Jenna Lee Harrison scooted out the door, and I missed getting her with Fern Fitzgerald, which would have been great.
Oh yeah,
Should have gone by the pool.
Should have gotten them by the pool, yeah, but it was raining out. I don't think they would have gone out there. And then who else? Oh, I was supposed to get one with Kathy Podwell, Cherie Wilson, Alan Catton, and myself, because we kept talking about the four of us getting together, and Cherie disappeared as well. But should have had Josh Henderson, Josh Harris, and myself, the three Joshes. But if you went into the big room, I don't know how many of you got into the big room at all in your travels.
Yeah, I did.
I was only in there very briefly.
But there were Lee Taylor Young was positioned in there. I don't know why she was there and not in the Dallas group, but she was in the big photo. Huh?
Soylent Green. She was in Soylent Green, so maybe the sci-fi fans were because she was right
Okay.
around the corner from the. Flash
She was also in
TV
Star
cover.
Trek too
Yeah.
at some point.
Yeah.
But
Right.
also in there was Kim Johnston Ulrich, who played Bootsy in The Conundrum, and Robert Pine, who played Priscilla Presley's psychiatrist in their Dream season, and Melody Anderson, who played Dusty Farlow's wife, Linda, was in there. And I was able to bring her over to Linda Gray so they could catch up. And then she went and took her picture in front of Jock's portrait and had a picture with Christopher Atkins and Jim Scalia as well. But just those interesting combinations of those people. Did you find that it was like a big party? Just kind of the cast members were just mingling with each other too when they had a chance.
Yeah, no, everyone was just so excited to see each other. It seemed like. I mean, they were there like more excited to see other cast members, you know, like than anything. I think.
I witnessed a moment between Deb Renard and Deb Trinelli where Deb Renard had gotten a Facebook request from somebody from her past, and she showed it to Deb, and the two of them, like, it was like that gif you see where those women were cackling. They were like, ah, and she was like, Debar was like, what do I do with it? And I said, screenshot it. I mean, there was like, they were cutting up like they were like the Ewing secretaries, you know, just like shooting the shit on their lunch break. It was awesome.
We should have had telephones at each of their tables. Ewing Oil.
That's what
That'd be
I
cool.
mean. It would have been great. A really good photo opportunity.
Yes, and it seemed like Fern Fitzgerald was like everywhere. She didn't stay in one spot. Every time I turned around, she was in a different spot.
Oh my God. Did you guys hear that? We got to tell the story of what happened to her. So this is like her first public appearance, right? And in forever. And she's just been through like what, a craniotomy? Like
Something like that, yeah.
8 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Because basically she got like her own dog tripped her in the dog park and she hit her head and like thought she was fine and was starting to have problems and told her husband, she said, you know, it's been a few days. Maybe I should go to the hospital or something like that. And he said, Fern, it's been a month.
Oof.
She lost track of time.
Mhm.
So they had to get in there and put her in a medically induced coma and like stop the bleeding. But yeah, but she's okay.
But you said she drove herself.
She drove herself to the emergency room
Oh my god.
because she said, why would I wake him up for that?
And what did Deb Renard say?
I said that was kind of badass. I can't remember what Renard said.
I think Deb Renard said something like, "You wake your husband up for something like
Yes,
that."
yes, she did. Thank you. Yes, she said, no, that's the kind of shit you wake your husband up for.
For sure. Yeah.
Did she show
I
you
was like,
the scar?
Fern, that's crazy, but that's kind of
Oh yeah, I saw the scar. It was crazy.
Yeah. She was
I
showing
did
everyone. She was
too,
taking
yeah.
her hat. She was wearing a hat the whole time, and I went up and talked
Yeah.
to her,
Yes.
and then we got a picture by the Jock portrait, and
It was a very Merrily Stone hat, though.
absolutely, it totally.
Yes.
I mean,
Definitely
I
was.
miss her, right? And then she's like, so she's telling me the story. She's got her arm hooked into my arm, and we're walking back, and she's telling me the story, and then she lifts her hat, and she's like, I'm like, oh my god, and so. But anyway, she was like, because I told her I was
Yeah.
from St. Louis, and she's like, I went to Stevens College in Columbia, and all these. I mean, she's just very engaging lady. I told her what I told you. I think I told Mary. I might have told all of you. I was like, I think of all the people on the show, aside from Larry Hagman, that you had the best one-liners, the best singers. And she's like, really? She was taken aback by that. She was like, really? And I'm like, oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Like you always held your own. It was great.
Yeah.
Well, her husband had a singer at a cast party. They were leaving, and Larry Hagman went over and goes, I really love sleeping with your wife. And he said, so do I. That's why we're leaving early. But it was another great one there was, I don't know if you all got around to Lindsay Bloom, Bonnie.
I was in
Bonnie.
line outside when she came walking up with her husband, Maeve Nutter, right? And
I
she's
didn't know they
walking
were
along.
married until we were in conversation because I was wondering, why is this guy over here? And it turns out he was Parker Winslow on Knots Landing, who was engaged to Valine.
Yeah, and she's walking along outside. This is Friday afternoon. I'm standing in line to get inside, and she and her husband come walking along, and she starts waving to everybody. And he's got that Knots Landing coat on, right? The cast or crew coat on, and she's waving to everybody. She's like, "Hey, I'm Bonnie. I was Ray's old girlfriend." And
That's awesome.
And her agent contacted me while I was sitting in the airport in Denver. We were Facebooking back and forth, and he approached us to have them on the podcast at some point. I've delayed any appearances until at least the beginning of April because I'm just tied up with this whole Easter Bunny thing through the end of the month. And I'm sure we just need to do a reset before we push forward with stuff. But
did I miss something about the Easter Bunny? Are you the Easter Bunny?
I am playing the Easter Bunny at the mall for photography, and I am
nice.
doing it basically 11 to 7 every day for the month.
Nice.
Except for when I basically get up, I go to the mall, I come home, I go to sleep, get up, go to the mall. I go to Connecticut, come back, go back to work. So it's just one of those situations. But they want to. He wants them to come on the podcast, and they want to come on the podcast. And I was.
Oh.
It was, and Melody Anderson wants to come on because she's her other job is she is a therapist and she works with addiction counseling recovery.
Oh.
And that would be another great after the barbecue type of a conversation. And Steve Canale said he will come on in April
as
well. So
Steve is great.
So
he was great.
The word is spreading because we have posted the panel on our. Mary posted the panel on our. No, I posted the panel because I edited it. It was too large to move to Mary. The file was too big, but I put it up there and it got 10,000 views in less than 2 weeks.
Wow!
Is that our highest viewed anything?
Oh yeah, I mean, for our podcast, definitely.
My wife and I watched it the other day. Good job on the photography, and it was. I forgot a couple of things in there, so it was like re-experiencing that. That was a great panel.
I had fun putting those opening credits together using the backdrop and putting their Hollywood show pictures up like Jock's portrait, and then putting our information and the Hollywood show's information at the end with our websites. Just to
definitely a good choice.
Promote. But I had to use the two different Dallas themes, one at the beginning and then the memorial one at the end, just kind of fade out. But yeah, what did you all think of the panel? I know Melanie, you were not able to get in there because Deb needed someone to hang out with her. She didn't want to go in.
No, I think she went for a little bit and then they came out. I can't remember exactly what happened, or she had to.
I think Deb Bernard wanted to stay at the table.
No, she didn't stay at the table the whole time.
Oh, she popped in?
I don't know where I can't remember where she went, but I gave my ticket to somebody else who looked like she was having an emotional day, not knowing that they didn't check the tickets anyway.
Yeah,
but
they did not check the tickets, folks.
I said I'd stay and like watch the money and stuff so she could go do whatever. I can't remember if she went to the restroom or went and took like a short lunch break or what.
I think she came in and watched the panel
for a little bit.
I thought she did too. I thought I saw her in there, that over by the doorway. She was hanging out.
I know that Deb Trinelli and Denon were warming up the crowd in there with asking people their favorite episodes or their favorite moments or whatever, which was nice. And then
they brought the speaker.
Maybe I'm remembering it backwards.
With the theme song.
Yeah, and then William Keck had them play it when he introduced
which
everybody.
Was, by the way, for the audience, it didn't go. It was playing out there like all day. So I don't know. Yes. That was right next to you, Mary. So I can't imagine.
Yes, it was.
I can't imagine that didn't get old.
That was Danon's phone.
Yeah, Danon had it. It was playing it, and Deb Bernard had enough after like 10 minutes. And then whenever Danon would walk away, she'd be like, "Can you just kind of turn that off?" Sure. And then I would, and then Danon would come back and turn it back on.
It would have been fine.
Joe and I were over with Linda Gray. Somebody had mentioned, we hear the theme going, and she's like, "What? What?" And then she stopped us and she goes, "Oh wait, I hear it. I do hear it. Has that been playing the whole time?" I'm like, "Well, why?" And she's like, "Oh, I had no idea."
It's white noise after all these years.
Yeah.
It would have been nice to play it every once in a while and just
Top of the hour, bottom of the
top
hour.
of the hour, maybe
Sure.
Or half
Yeah.
hour, maybe.
on the
yeah.
hour and on the half hour, maybe.
Traffic and weather
Yeah.
on the nines,
Yeah.
But who else was there?
But I thought the panel went well. I thought that was an interesting deal. And again, my husband, who had no interest in Dallas, was interacting, was laughing at stuff, was cheering at stuff.
Cool.
So it was a hit with even non-fans or non-people, people who didn't had any clue.
But anybody he was
I love seeing Priscilla and Patrick. That was
yeah.
like
interact.
just
Yeah.
yeah.
And he said, "Well, you're here now, so you're forget about her. You're here now."
yeah.
He has such a sense of humor because they did the panel for Step by Step on Sunday, and Christine Lakin goes, they were talking about Suzanne Summers, God rest her soul, and she said, "Well, I when I grew up, I watched Three's Company." This is Christine Lakin, and but I never really watched Dallas. And then Patrick is on the other side of the stage, and he just immediately gets up, starts to walk off the stage, like the way that his sense of humor. He's like, "Well, screw you, I'm out of here." That's but he had such great things to say about Sasha Mitchell too, who I don't know if you all got to see. Sasha.
I sat in on the Step by Step panel there in Burbank because my feet were tired. So this was Friday afternoon. So it was.
That's right. They did
Friday about 5 o'clock or so. So I was like, I'm tired of walking around. So it was Patrick and Stacy and Christine and Sasha, and that was it. Yeah.
Yeah. In Burbank, they had Angela Watson, Christopher Castile, Brandon Call,
in Connecticut.
and Jason
Marsden. There's more people in Connecticut than it was just the four of them. And they asked, of course, William Keck did a fantastic job with probably all the panels. I was in there for 2, and he did a fantastic job. So, so there was a question about whether or not Sasha got the job on Step by Step because he worked with Patrick on Dallas, and Patrick was like, "No, I didn't know he was getting cast. I didn't put his name in the hat or anything. Like he got the job." And Sasha's like, he's talking. He's like, "I remember, getting that job, and I didn't know, and so I thanked Patrick." And Patrick's like, "I didn't do anything." And he's like, "Well, okay, but thanks anyway, right?"
And in Connecticut, Patrick said, "Well, I never would have recommended." He had just said Patrick's sense of humor. He said, "And if I had known it was you, I wouldn't have recommended you at all." No, but later he's talking about Sasha's comedic timing and just the things that he brought to the Step by Step was just.
Both of them
Play two totally different characters.
He compared him to Mork at one point, just the way no one can compare to Robin Williams, but he just used that physical comedy the way Robin Williams would do.
Early 90s Mork. I can see it.
And Sasha Mitchell is Cody, right? Like when he talks.
Totally.
He's sitting up there. They've all got a microphone, and they're all talking, and he was at the end of the row. So William kind of got to him last to introduce him and ask him a question. And he's answering the question. Everybody's got a microphone, but he's got it in his lap, and he's answering the question. And finally, Christine's like, "Hold the mic up." And he's like, "Oh." And he's like, and then the next time he has to speak, microphone in the lap again. Like you got to hold the microphone so people can hear you.
He was pretty funny on Saturday. He was obsessed with the Freddie the Flute. From I don't know if you guys know who Freddie the Flute is from HR Puffin Stuff, and he had one, and he was obsessed with it.
Yeah, okay.
With him about HR Puffin Stuff and Witchy Poo. Like, where's this all coming from?
Wow.
Oh, in between, like talking about coming to being a military school and
it was funny. I came over at one point and he was talking to Sean Kanan, who was in one of the Karate Kid movies, and he was on Cobra Kai, and they have often been mistaken for each other. And it went so far that Sean had actually been given Sasha's badge for the weekend, with Sasha's name on it, and he was like, "We got to finally fix this because they this is still going on. They gave me your badge, and they had to switch badges at some point.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
I
speaking
was
of that, I
sitting-
mean, just to give people an idea how big this was, like the Dallas hallway there, and I hesitate to say hallway. It was a big room, but it felt like a hallway because it was long. But like the larger room, there were so many people in there. So like even if you weren't a Dallas fan or you didn't go there for Dallas, I guarantee you there was somebody in there that was on a show or in a movie that you like whoever,
Definitely.
whoever
Yeah.
it might be. There were so many people there.
I know Sarah was with Al Sapienza, Deb's singing partner and stuff, and they were right across from Stephanie Kramer and Fred Dreyer.
I
from
talked to
Hunter.
them. They're so funny.
Right, and Deb Trinelli and I walked around at one point, and Fred Dreyer was not the most personable when she was over there. So it was just very reserved, very kept to himself type of thing.
Yeah.
Like, conversation was very abrupt and brief, but we made our way around, and it was weird seeing combinations of Dallas people that weren't on the show at the same time, yet they were going over, giving each other hugs, like Melody Anderson, Jack Scalia.
But they probably know each other from other projects too.
Right.
You know.
But to those of us that only know them from their associate them with their roles on Dallas and things, it's just interesting for us to see them interacting and catching
That was a
up.
really neat thing, seeing them like when somebody would arrive and
Right.
see somebody that they knew that was already there, and just getting that interaction. Like when Jack came in and walked up to Cherie, and like they just start hugging, and they're just like, like they haven't seen each other in so long, and then like those little moments right there were gold. Like I loved seeing that stuff.
And anytime I saw one of those, I made them stop and take a picture to capture that moment, just to
Right.
Get them.
You mentioned
and
Jack
everything.
earlier. He was nutty. I loved that guy. I walked up to him the first day and I said, I remember you. You were on a show in the 90s when I was in college called Point Man. He's like, yeah, I did that show in Jacksonville. It was filmed in Jacksonville. I'm like, I loved that show. It was on like 2 seasons, right? And I was like, yeah, I didn't remember that was where it was, and I haven't seen it since then. But I was like, I remember you from that show. And of course, Dallas and all that other stuff. So the next morning I come down and get a coffee, and I'm walking back to the elevator, and I turn to the right to go to the elevator, and Jack's coming from the restaurant area there straight on. So I turn to the elevator and I hit the button, and he comes walking by, and he's like, hey, you saw me and you're going to turn away from me? And I was like, I'll come back. I'll come see you and get you a picture with you, Point Man. It's cool. He's like, but then we got pictures, and his worker like took like 8 pictures of us, and every one of them he's making a different face and clowning. It was so fun. He was.
Oh yeah, the two of us ended up rabbit earing each other, and then Josh Harris across the way he's yelling at us, "Hey, don't screw up that picture over there." That was interesting meeting him, and when they brought them out for the panel, him and Omri Katz as the. Because they had kept asking me all weekend. They just kept coming up and going, is there any way we can get on the panel? Any way we can get on the panel? I said, I don't know. Bill Keck is doing the panel. Go talk to him or whatever. And next thing you know, he was bringing them out on stage, and it was like, oh, wow. And it was kind of one of those.
If you haven't seen the panel, absolutely go see the panel. I've seen tons of interviews and panels like that with them, and not all of them, but with various people. And that one, maybe because I was there in person, that was probably my favorite one. Like it was off the cuff, but it was organized, but it was off the cuff, and there were a lot of little jokes thrown in there, and I really enjoyed the stories they told.
It was a little bit different, and so it was, I don't know, it was good. I was really excited to meet Josh Harris too, because he was also Little Nicky on Twin Peaks.
Right.
And so I got to go and talk to him, and he was really personable. And I ended up feeling comfortable enough with him to show him the picture of me cosplaying as his character, Little Nicky, on Twin Peaks at the Twin Peaks Festival for the costume contest. And he just looked at it, and he looked at me, and then looked back at the picture, and then looked back at me, and he was like, there's seriously something wrong with you. I'm like, yeah, can't deny it.
It is what it is.
He did have a good sense of humor. He definitely had and it was interesting because that dinner, that Thursday night, literally the day before I flew in on Wednesday, so
The dinner I
Tuesday-
wasn't invited to, by the way. I'm sitting outside at the patio bar watching the Laker game, and you guys are having this great time, and nobody let me know. Thanks.
Well, I didn't realize that that was going to happen until basically it did. And then we were like, oh.
And Sarah and I ended
Right.
up, like, Sarah changed a flight to see if she could get there on time. My original flight got canceled, and I had to rebook myself on another one. We didn't even know if we were going to make it. Thursday sucked.
Yeah, because
Until we got there.
A bird flew in the damn engine or something like that, right?
Yeah, the American Airlines plane that flies back and forth from Charlotte to Los Angeles every day caught a vulture at that.
Oh God!
I'm sure the vulture got
at that
obliterated.
altitude. It's vultures and hawks and stuff that are up there. It's like
wow.
vermin. Yeah, caught. It said caught a bird at this altitude, and I went, well deserved. But yeah, so they had to make an emergency landing in like Kansas or Arkansas or something like that, and like, gosh, ask them the night before. I like texted all night long as I like saw updates because they were like delaying the flight, and then they finally canceled it, and I was like, oh great.
I was on a 3-hour time difference because I was already out there, so I woke up to this whole thing of messages going, "What the hell's going on here?" But
I ended up having to go through Philadelphia, but it wasn't too bad.
And then you needed some supplies to be delivered to the hotel.
Yes, I asked for some supplies to be delivered, paraphernalia,
right,
to be delivered to the hotel.
And the website that you gave me did not have any deliveries slots to be scheduled. And then I found you found another place that had the same supplies, and
like Walgreens.
Sure.
Yes, Walgreens.
Yeah. I actually saw those supplies. I actually saw that.
Right. And I ended up
on the green part, more the green than the
Y'all,
wall.
Josh.
Right.
Yeah.
I ended up becoming Instagram friends, and so did the podcast with the delivery person.
That's awesome. Josh scored me some THC products, y'all. That's what we're trying to.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've been married 25 years, and when a woman says supplies, that means one thing, right?
I mean, those were in the CVS machine downstairs.
That's true. That's true.
That's right. The CVS machine.
To buy Tylenol, but it was $9 for a bottle of Tylenol. I was like,
yeah, and like 100 tablets. Like I need 2. You know?
Right.
I'm still using the bottle of ibuprofen and the Flonase I bought from it.
But the delivery girl, she sends me a message, and you can see it on our group. It said, she said, "Oh, I hope Meanie got her, was happy with the supply." And I said, "Well, she would have been a meanie if she didn't get her supplies."
Yep.
But
the number of times that has happened to me. That happened on a work email once. Somebody, like my sales director, left the L out of my name and sent it to all of my sales reps.
Oh.
And then like he immediately came back and was like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." And I sent back like a picture of you guys know that meme that older man in the red shirt, he's just shrugging. Yeah, I was like, "Meanie, you caught me." Yeah, I am. I'm a big old meanie.
I had a friend named Asa, and I was texting his roommate to say, Chris, "Oh, Chris, come on over. And if you want to bring Asa too." And then I sent it off, and then I looked a minute later, and it said
ass.
It said ass. And I'm starting to type, no, I mean, and the response immediately comes back, goes, "I will be coming, and I'll be bringing ass with me." And I'm going, "Whose ass are you bringing?"
Josh is bringing ass.
So
Okay, now it's a party.
Yes. If you remember the party, you weren't there. No.
Yes, but Josh, thank you for coming through with those. That it's great. My supply has lasted me also, and thanks to Omri again.
Yes, because I had texted him in between saying, "Can you find anything similar to this? Because Melanie needs some stuff when she gets here." And I didn't get a reply back until that morning. He said, "Oh, I think I might have something." So then
Holy cow! Did he
we
have something?
go into the
He had a lot
in
of
the middle
something.
of the convention hall. In the middle of the convention hall, before he even set up his table, he spotted me and he comes, "Oh, I got your stuff here," and he hands me this plastic bag filled with everything in creation, and I have the elixir here, and I was going to drink it, and I stopped and I said, "Let me just Google this stuff to see the elixir," and I found out that you don't want to drink the whole bottle. You want to take 2 teaspoons at a time.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Imagine if I drank the whole bottle.
Always read the label.
Right.
Yeah.
Always read
Always
how
read
many
the label.
milligrams there are, because
That's why I started
Always
with
count
half of that
your
indica pill
change.
yesterday, that tablet, and it was fine. I felt a little drowsy, but I got a second wind.
I use these things for sleep right now. Have you tried the chili watermelon gummy? The pink one?
Yes,
That's tasty.
it is
I don't
tasty.
normally like fruit and hot, but that
Mm.
is
That
the
one's
right
good.
combination. Yeah.
I don't like fruit and hot either. You know, that mango habanero stuff. Nah,
Blech.
these are good. But yeah, and by the way, I also gave Mary like almost half of everything you gave me.
Really?
in the airport, it was,
In the airport.
I
was like, boop, boop.
I was
just
like,
in
oh,
her
I guess we're
carriage.
through security. All right.
I put the gummies in a Ziploc plastic bag, shoved them in with the soaps and the shampoo. And I took the pills and I put them in an aspirin bottle and moved the other stuff to somewhere else. And
I just
packed
pulled
it.
like my brush and my pill box and my deodorant and stuff over them, and nobody was the wise.
that's
Nobody. They're not looking for pot. They're looking for guns. They're looking
Right.
for knives. They're looking
Ammo.
for shit
Yeah.
that can blow up a plane. They're not. Who gives a shit about my
Yeah,
drugs?
and
They're
anything
looking
over
like-
like 3.5 ounces of liquid. So yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
They're looking for Richard Reed, the shoe bomber. Exactly. Yes. But
They're
the
looking to make sure I don't bring aerosol. You know, God forbid we bring the hairspray with us.
talking about that dinner, because you said it literally took you by surprise what was going to happen that night.
Yeah. I didn't.
That Tuesday, Charlene Tilton text messages me and said, some of the crew is getting together and we wanted you to see if you could find Omri and Josh Harris and invite them to the dinner. And I've only spoken to Josh Harris through Instagram Messenger. That's the way we communicate. So I text Omri to send them the messages. And then Charlene said, and by all means, you are invited. And I said, well, I got to check with the podcast folks because I don't know who's getting in at what time on Thursday. And but I said, Mary's going to be here. Can they come too? And she said, oh, absolutely. And then I get this thing. I tell Deb Renard and Deb Trinelli about it, and Danon, and Deb Trinelli said, oh, you kind of beat me to the punch because we've actually been planning this dinner for a couple of weeks now.
Wow.
She had somebody and put her in touch with Sue Cabral and this, and just kind of grew from there. And then said, send it out to all your Dallas family and stuff like that. So I sent it to Alan and Kathy and Cherie and Josh Henderson and all, and Steve Lee. But, they were, obviously those people didn't. Linda Gray was supposed to be there, but she got held up with something. But we did see her in the restaurant Sunday, right, Melanie?
Mm-hmm.
And
We
I,
did.
of course, went over to the table and said hello.
I did not.
Josh has no shame. You just walk up to anybody and say, "Hey, how you doing?"
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
This is a
I was
business card.
like, nope. And it sucks because that's like the third time I think I've met Linda in person, and like the one time I should have gotten in line and paid for a picture with her, but I didn't. It was just the group photo.
Right. And I missed out on getting, I see all these pictures, people with their photo ops and their individual pictures with people, and Amy and Brad and all
Me
this.
and Mary got pictures with the Debs, and I got pictures with Josh Henderson.
Mm-hmm.
And
Little
the
did we
group
know we
photo
were
that
all
was-
going to get pictures with Josh Henderson later.
Oh my God! Right?
And then Mary, you wanted those two things signed by Patrick, and I was like,
Yeah. I
was like,
couldn't get any
yeah.
cash out of my debit card for some reason. It wasn't working. And
Wasn't the
everybody
ATM
was
just like out of cash?
I thought it was out of cash. I don't know what was going on, but I couldn't.
heard that
It was still not
rumor.
working.
I heard that rumor, and I'm like, God, this is Atlanta all over.
It just kept failing, and I was just like, okay. And so I was just like, well, okay, I guess I can't, because everyone was just taking cash for the most part, except for like some of the younger people were taking like Venmo and stuff. But
oh yeah,
I had Deb Trinelli bring you over to the table, and you got it signed for nothing.
right. And I was just kind of walking up to people and being like, do you have any other way? Do you accept anything other than cash? And then like Steve Canale was like, well, what do you want? And I was like, and I was like, well, it's kind of, well, I wanted you to sign my record. And he was like, I'll sign your record, whatever. He just grabbed it and signed it.
I think 90% of the signatures I got that weekend were, and even pictures. I was sitting on the corner next to at Patrick's table, and Sasha was next to me on the other side, and we were just like elbowing each other, and he signed the thing, took pictures for free, and just stuff like that.
There were a couple of them that just held their hand up, because I got like group pictures, and they were, and like I give one of them money, and the other one was like, I won't name names or anything, but tell them like, oh, don't worry about it. I was like, okay.
All right. Yeah.
And I think at that point in the weekend, they had known what at least the podcast crew had done, so they were just like, you're part of us. You're one
and
of
as
us.
I understood it, I mean, I plowed through some cash, and I apparently did not hear that about you, Mary. I would have helped you out if you needed some cash.
Oh, that's okay.
But and I can't say for everybody, but it sounded like most, if not all, were giving monies to charities and stuff. So it wasn't like just a cash grab for everybody. So that's cool. It makes it a little easier to stomach the cost. And you don't, and if somebody goes to one of these things, you can spend as little as you want.
Right.
You don't have to. A lot of them were very approachable and wanted to talk, and like Lee McCloskey, Christopher Atkins, like they just like I started to walk away thinking like maybe the next person.
Lee and Carla.
Just talking, like, okay, I'll sit here and talk to you.
Inviting people to their house. Hey, you should come over to our house. And
Lee and Carla are amazing people. There's
I want to do
books.
after the barbecue podcast with Lee about his art, and he said, next time you're out here, we'll record it at the house. We'll do a video version, and we'll do it at the house, and you can see everything in person. And it's just, that's going to be a very long podcast because he has a lot to talk about. And it's just I don't know, they're just
you really guys are doing a great job. I'm sorry to keep doing this, being a fan, but you guys are doing a great job with those. I told you when we were in California, like I'm way behind on the podcast, and I'm into season 6 now. But I just listened to your interview with Morgan Brittany, and that was fantastic. That might be the best thing you guys have ever done. That was so much fun. Loved it.
No, we love hearing it. Like, seriously, because I don't know, do we get much feedback anymore?
Not a whole lot. No, I mean, no, the Facebook group, it's just the Kathy Podwell fan club.
Yeah. Like we haven't wow anybody yet, and we haven't managed to really piss anybody off. So
I haven't pissed anybody off in a while. That was the first few episodes, and that was it. So,
what spoilers and stuff?
There was the guy who didn't like that we swore, and then there was the it was the
thumb.
I don't know. It automatically does that sometimes.
Are you on your iPad or you have an iMac?
Yeah, I have an iMac.
I thought somebody liked you talking.
I think FaceTime does that stuff now. Like, try making a heart. I'm serious. Like, you, Mary, if you do that, I bet you'll get like a heart shape like coming at you. I can't.
If I do what?
I think it's like, yeah, like what Brad's doing. Try to make a heart and see. Oh, there it is. Wow. Apple products do it on like FaceTime and stuff now.
Whoa.
Yeah.
These are fancy.
That's trippy.
That is fancy. Look at that.
That's pretty cool.
That's our love for the weekend.
Yeah.
For the great Burbank.
There are other ones too.
So we're at it over an hour. So like, what was your guys' favorite part?
Amy?
Yeah, I'll go.
Ladies first.
Yeah.
The whole weekend was great. It was such a blur in there, but I think the one thing that I thought was amongst everything, there was a moment, I think it was it might have been Friday. Yeah, it was definitely Friday. And Josh Henderson was sitting next to Christopher Atkins. Is that right? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And they started talking to each other. And Christopher Atkins is like, "So, who were you? Who were you on the show?" And he goes, "Oh, I was on the reboot. I was on the reboot. I played, John Ross." And he goes, "Oh," and Christopher Atkins explained him, who he was, who his character, and they're reaching across each other and shaking each other's hands. And I thought that was really, I don't know, I just thought that was really cute. And just introducing themselves as, "Who'd you play? Who are you? What did you do?" But the whole weekend, there's the whole weekend was a great weekend. And again, total blur.
There seemed to be a little admiration society because you had Deb Renard wanted her picture with Josh Henderson. Deb Trinelli wanted her picture with Josh Henderson. And there was just the interaction between these people that didn't share the screen together was just gives you the warm fuzzies.
Right.
That the Dallas really is a family. Brad, your turn.
Yeah, I didn't even get enough time to really anticipate anything, so I can't say the anticipation was the best part. The panel was a huge highlight, and hanging out with you guys afterwards was definitely a highlight. But just the overall welcoming, I guess, that everybody felt, and I'll say Steve Canale's name because he mentioned it in the panel, where he said that we're doing this for you guys. It was great for them to all get together and talk, and see each other when they haven't seen each other in a long time. But he's also like, none of this would be possible without you guys. People from all over the world are at this thing. I sit next to a girl from Belgium at the panel.
Wow.
And so I thanked him after that. I walked up to him. I was like, that right there means so much to the fans, that this isn't just, just you guys getting together, isn't just, the stars of the show getting together, whatever, that you're doing it in public and allowing us to join with you and see you guys interact and talk to you and everything. And that, I think that was the highlight for me, was just everybody's welcoming.
And I saw people that I hadn't seen since 2008 at South Fork. And they remember you by name and stuff like that, and they come up to you. It's just one of those warm, fuzzy feelings.
It was crowded, but there was plenty of time. Like,
Yeah.
I had to go leave the building several times. I'm like, it's too crowded in here. They get away for a few minutes. I come back, but there was plenty of time to talk to everybody you'd want to talk to.
This was my third Dallas event. I went to the 2008 reunion, the 2018 reunion, and then this. And this was hands down the best one for me. The other ones were at South Fork, which is cool, but I just felt like this one was just really well planned, and the people were just like way more approachable. It was like almost like more low key than the South Fork one, so you could just talk to people.
We had them trapped in a small space.
It's true. We did have them trapped.
Couldn't get away from us. They had to acknowledge us.
Talk to us.
It was great that they were all in that one kind of alley there, hallway.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They were all together.
Yeah.
Although I wish Lee Taylor Young had been in that alley too, and maybe
True.
And Tracy Scoggins, we should mention that she had to cancel because she got sick, but she was going to be in that alley as well.
I think someone like Lee Taylor Young, like, yes, she was on Dallas, but she's been in so many other things, that I don't think, and there were so many Dallas people that I think they were like, well, we can just put her.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I, until somebody told me that Melody Anderson was in the other room.
That was me.
That was you. Okay.
Yeah.
Wasn't sure if it was you or if it was David Goodspeed.
She was in there with Sam Jones from Flash Gordon. They're both in Flash Gordon. So that's why I knew her. Actually, I knew Flash Gordon. I was like, the 2 episodes she did, I remembered her from Flash Gordon. That would have been Lee Taylor Young. That would have been, well, this is getting into the show itself, I guess, but like, I would love to have seen her character more than a lot of the other ones. Like they had more story, and she was a strong enough character that I think she could have helped carry the show in those later years. Not that the other ladies didn't do fine, but she was a great character.
Melanie, it's your turn to speak the wonders of.
Well, I mean, like what you guys said, just is great all around the entire weekend. But I had this moment in that convention hall. Well, first of all, it was like returning to the scene of the crime for me. It was like deja vu because last time that I had been in that hotel and convention center, it was a Hilton. And I was there for my very first con. It was an I Love Lucy convention in 2001. And I don't know, it was just kind of weird to be like an adult out there in the spot at this time and just I came to the realization in this room amongst these people, like, wow, they all think the same way I do. Like we all have the same, like there's a whole lot of weird in this room and it's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yes.
That's basically where I was going with it. I was like, yes, these are my people.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
We may not see eye to eye, we may not get along, but we all have almost like this little tiny part of our brain that is the same.
That's wired the exact same way.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen in some of the videos posted and TikTok things, I've seen all of us in some of the videos that are up there.
Oh, really?
That blows my mind.
I haven't even been looking.
Oh yeah. And but yeah,
Wow.
I think I'm going to go with a couple different things that stood out. Was the dinner the first night, and that I didn't know if Omri and Josh were going to show up, and they did, and that was great. And then obviously the group photo and us getting cheered and applauded, that just was like, what the hell is going on here? And the bar that night with Saturday night, Mario and Josh and Charlene. And,
my 2 charcuterie boards.
yes. And
Yes.
Food.
And
Food was important.
Josh's
Dude.
wonderful girlfriend, who I will,
Alex.
Alex, who will probably be seeing next time we're in their city where they live. Just that experience. There was going to be a surprise cameo appearance from Michael Priest that weekend, but unfortunately there was a pipe situation at home that required a plumber, and they could not get away to join us. But it would have been wonderful to see them in person. Michael Priest, of course, director.
Speaking of,
we've had on, and Brad, you'll obviously have not gotten to that episode of our
No.
podcast yet, have you?
No.
Kathy Toadwell, Cherie Wilson, and Michael Priest.
Yeah, I see it on the list, but I have not gotten that far.
Yeah, he's super interesting. Honestly, like I think
He's cool.
the most interesting people I talked to during that weekend were the makeup artist and the prop guy. Because I just knew they were around for everything and saw everything. And
Well,
heard everything. And
have you seen the pictures that David Sanderson is posting on Facebook?
yes,
Like he has
they're
just,
crazy.
I mean, it's amazing. I mean, this
Yeah,
guy just has
I actually
a
messaged
vault of pictures.
a friend requested him and said like, hey, we want to get you on our podcast.
Totally.
David
Like
Sanderson.
that's a 10-hour show right there.
Which
Yeah.
one was he?
Yeah, really.
He's a crew member, and he's been posting in all the groups these behind-the-scenes pictures, amazing pictures.
Yeah. He's like second
Wow.
camera and lighting or something. I don't know, one of those.
Oh.
But yeah, he was there for like most of it, if not all of it. Like, yeah. And
So,
he's got
like
just tons
crazy
and tons
pictures of like shooting like outside of Billy Bob's and stuff, and you're like, oh shit, like I know exactly what episode that is. That's crazy, you know?
And I think Sue Cabral will be a good help to getting some of these people in, because we can have her and Carrie on. She can contact
Carrie,
him.
the prop guy, was saying like, oh yeah, I have all this stuff like in my garage, all the Dallas, like tons of Dallas props, and I was like,
Good.
what?
Well, we need to ask him
Like,
about
can
all
I come
those.
over?
Yeah.
We need to
Can we
ask
get
him
a
about all
tour of
those
that?
newspapers.
Yeah.
All the newspapers that were on the show.
Oh yeah, we should have asked him about. Well, I mean, we can have him on and ask him about that kind of stuff. Yeah, like, did they save like ephemera like that? That'd be crazy. Awesome.
So, before we all part ways, upcoming calendar, we have the third week of April is TerrorCon or HorrorCon in New Jersey, down in Edson, New Jersey. Omri Katz will be there with the Hocus Pocus crew.
I can't believe that's coming up already again.
What, HorrorCon?
Yeah, or Is it HorrorCon or Chiller? What did we go to?
Chiller is the following week, and Jenna Lee
okay.
Harrison and Deb Twinelli will be there.
Still, that's crazy that's been a year.
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
And there are other things in the planning because I've been asked to contact certain people about Chiller in October, the weekend before Halloween. And I do know from my talk with Jason Marsden this past weekend that he thinks the Hocus Pocus crew, including Omri, are doing an event with Elvira that weekend, so they might not be available.
Gotcha.
But they are wanted at Chiller and have been asked. So
That's cool.
But keep your eyes on Chiller in October and maybe the Fanboy Expo in Orlando at the beginning of September. And something else we're not officially allowed to talk about at this point in time.
But good things might be afoot.
Stay tuned.
Later in the fall.
Dallas
Looking
World.
forward to it.
Yes.
And we may get the inside publicity scoop on that when it is ready to be.
Well, and when we find out, we'll let you guys know.
Good.
And thank you guys so much for, hanging out with us like that. It's so cool. I don't know, like meet people online and get to hang out with them in person.
It was kind of weird, like the couple of times, not you guys, but just other people. Like I remember a couple of people being like, "Oh yeah, you're from the podcast." It was like,
yeah, that's weird.
Well, we had our giant
Yes.
2x6 banner hanging out in the lobby there on that thing with our business cards and stuff.
true,
Our
but
faces
we were
there.
but we were nowhere near it.
That's true. Yeah.
But no.
Well, I'm
You
glad
posted
you guys are
enough
getting
online.
people to recognize you.
Yeah, online, and you've done the Facebook Live, so
Might be a little scary,
people know
though.
what you look like.
We'll just try to continue doing what we do, I guess, to
Awesome.
You're doing great.
keep things alive.
Well, thank you guys. And
Thank you so much
we
for
will-
joining us. Cheers.
Cheers.
And Mary, do you want to do your closing?
Okay. All right. Well, until next time, when I don't even know which episode we're on. The one where
Hell-
Sue
Hell hath
Hell
no
hath
fury.
no fury.
Hell Hath No Fury will be our next episode, season 6, episode something. Until then, bye.
Y'all come back now, you hear?
Bye, everybody. Supplies.
Josh is bringing ass.
Oh yes, that's what we end the episode with.
Yeah.
Josh is bringing ass.
Is that Harris or Henderson?